Tim, thanks for joining us off the back of a fantastic announcement for LCD. Let's get straight to it. You've reported a 44% increase to the resource at your flagship Murchison Gold Project in WA, which takes the global mineral resource estimate to over 1.1 million ounces. You must be thrilled to be able to deliver such a significant resource in a noticeably short amount of time. Can you just start by taking us through the key highlights from the announcement?
Absolutely. Thanks, Alex. Look, it has been a very busy time for Latitude, and we're extremely excited by the progress of the work that we've completed to date. And with this resource, the resource update, what we're really starting to demonstrate to our investors and the shareholder and the broader investing community, I guess, is the scale potential of our Murchison assets. And really, as you said, the key points there are that the total resource has grown to 1.1 million ounces, a 44% increase, which is fantastic. Within that, you've got the Turnberry mineral resource, which is, it's predominantly an open pittable mineral resource. It's never been mined. It's shallow. That's grown 125% to 610,000 ounces, which is a magnificent outcome. And more important than that, it's a high confidence resource in that 64% of that resource is in the high confidence indicated classification. 64% of the open pittable resource is in the indicated classification, and 58% of the total resource there. And I guess, further to those points is the resource averages 1,850 ounces per vertical metre, which is a very good number from a mining perspective. And that only drops off. That's down to 200 metres depth, and it only drops off where the drilling density drops off. So we're thinking that with further drilling below that, we can increase that or increase the size of the resource at depth. Look, it's a large resource. It strikes over 1.5 kilometres, so it's got scale. It's open to the north. It's open to the south, and guess what? It's open at depth as well. And there's lots and lots of high quality exploration targets that sit outside of that resource to the south and to the north of Turnberry. So we're very excited by the project and how things are travelling.
Thanks, Tim. And as you say, the initial resource upgrade has been driven by an 125% increase to the mineral resource at Turnberry. Given the shallow, high-grade nature of the deposit and its close proximity to gold processing facilities, are you able to provide some further context on your plans for Turnberry and its potential as an open-cut mining operation?
Yeah, we certainly think that there's an opportunity to move forward with mining, and we'll work through that process with scoping studies. I'll just highlight the fact that it is a very infrastructure-rich environment in the Murchison Goldfields where the project's located. There's a number of large operating gold processing facilities within trucking distance. The closest one being the plant at Meekatharra, owned by Westgold, 1.8 million tonne per annum plant. So infrastructure rich in that regard, but also the Great Northern Highway runs directly through our tenure. So not only is there milling infrastructure, there's the ability to get our ore to those mills, which is fantastic. But look, we also think that we're just scratching the surface at Turnberry, and there's large, very significant exploration targets. The most advanced of those being St Anne's to the south of Turnberry. So we certainly want to pursue a two-pronged approach. One is to move forward with exploration, and as you said, work on the mining studies and progress towards a development scenario with those studies. We'll look to get those scoping studies out towards the end of this year, and what they'll contemplate is a combined open pit underground mining scenario. So underground at the very high grade Andy Well mine, which is adjacent to Turnberry, and a large open pit at Turnberry, and it will be large in that the strike of that deposit is 1.5 kilometres, and as I said, it remains open to the north and to the south. So very, very exciting opportunity for Latitude from an exploration perspective, but also as we move forward with mining studies and a plan to develop these assets.
Thanks, Tim. Now, you've put in place an aggressive exploration strategy to grow the existing resource base at Murchison, and this first upgrade at Turnberry has delivered in a big way. Your understanding of the asset has clearly enabled you to hit the ground running, but can you just provide some further insight into why some of these high quality exploration targets were overlooked by the previous owners?
Yeah, specifically with regards to Turnberry, what we found during the due diligence process was that the company's strategy at the time with the previous owners was to create a very high-grade, low-tonnage resource at Turnberry that was suitable for processing through the small Andy Well mill that was operating at the time. And look, we've removed that constraint from our thinking, and we're going, well, this is it's obviously a very large deposit. It's 1.5 kilometres, and there's, it looks like it can be much bigger than that. And by the way, we're seeing some pretty extraordinary results in the drilling that's been completed historically down at St Anne's, and that's 3.5 kilometres away. So this thing's 1.5 now. How big could it be? So we've removed that size or the scale constraint that previous operators had I guess, framed the resource with and modelled it to include all of the mineralisation in the drilling, everything, and that's really what substantiated this resource update that we've announced today. But outside of Turnberry specifically, there is a large number of high-grade targets outside of the immediate mine footprint at Andy Well, which we were very excited by when we picked up the project, and we immediately launched into a drill program to test those. And we're about 2/3 of the way through that 10,000 metre drill program, and I think it needs those targets were not thoroughly tested for a number of reasons. One was because the company at the time was focused on mining and extending the resources they were mining at depth, rather than trying to discover new resources outside of the immediate mine footprint. So look, there's a lot of constraints and there are a lot of things going on in the background that limited their focus and what they targeted from an exploration perspective. But what that's left Latitude with is a number of high quality exploration targets that we can follow up and do that work and hopefully with sustained focus demonstrate to shareholders that there's room to grow these resources once we conduct that drilling and those exploration activities.
Thanks, Tim. With the rigs set to keep spinning, can you just talk us through a few of the other targets that you're getting pretty excited about drilling over the next few months?
Yeah, as I mentioned, there's a plethora of targets outside of the immediate mine footprint at Andy Well. So Andy Well's got a very high grade 8.6 gram per tonne resource, 500,000 ounces. Outside of those resources to the east and to the west, there's drilling that demonstrates there's high grade exploration, or there's high grade drill results outside of those resources that just haven't had the exploration follow up work to move those exploration targets into resource. So we were very excited seeing those, and that's what part of this drill program that we're currently completing was targeting to further define the strike extent of those high grade drill results, and like I said, with further work, hopefully bring those into a resource classification. So that's Andy Well, and at Turnberry, or I guess the most advanced prospect at Turnberry is St Anne's, which I mentioned earlier, sits 3.5 kilometres to the south of Turnberry. It displays very similar grade and width intervals in the historic drilling there. It sits in the same geological unit or package as Turnberry, and we're very excited by that and think that that's very much analogous to what we're seeing at Turnberry, and with further work, we'll hope to bring that into a resource classification as well.
Thanks, Tim. So it's obviously pretty exciting times for LCD and its shareholders, and it looks like you won't be taking the foot off the pedal anytime soon. Before I let you go, can you just give us a quick rundown over the key work programs that you're going to progress over the next few months? Absolutely.
So first and foremost, we're just completing, or we're about 2/3 of the way through an exploration drill program, 10,000 metres. So the company is eagerly anticipating receiving those results. And look, I think those, fairly comfortable to say that we should get those by June. It's been a long wait, and we're anxious to get those. There's obviously a big backlog with the amount of work going on in Western Australia from an exploration perspective to get things through the lab. But look, we anticipate getting those results coming through in June. Concurrent with that, we're also working on a mine scoping study. And as I mentioned, that's going to contemplate an open pit and an underground mining scenario. And we'll look to get the results of that scoping study out towards the end of this year, or December at the latest. And it'll demonstrate to investors a likely production profile from these assets and a cash flow scenario that they're likely to deliver. Certainly the rising gold price that we're seeing overnight is fantastic in that regard. And look, very exciting from an exploration and potential development prospect for Latitude.
Fantastic, Tim. Congratulations on the announcement. It certainly is a significant one for LCD, and we'll be looking forward to sort of keeping track on how things progress over the coming months. But again, thanks very much for joining me.
Thanks, Alex. And look, we look forward to bringing the results of the mining study and the assay results to the market as they come in. Thanks.